Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay, State of the Offense Tuesday coming at you here. Presented in part by Roku, America's #1 TV streaming platform. Offering streaming players built into TVs and now offering a new line of smart TVs themselves made by Roku. Told you guys earlier in the season, right when the season started, the Mackey family brought in a new 65-inch Roku Pro Series TV that's been great for football viewing, for all sorts of sports viewing, and it really fills out the living room quite nicely. 75 probably would have been a little too big for the wall, but we are giving away a 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV on the Score North app. Free to download. Just open it up, listener rewards, and you can enter to win that 75-inch Roku Pro Series 4K TV. All the channels you need to follow your favorite sporting events, or if you're like me last night, I was searching around for just obscure horror movies.
Nice.
Whenever October and November rolled around, dude,
Yeah.
I was catching up on the Terrifier series last night. But Roku. And then these Justin Jefferson souvenir cups. Now, I'm hearing that these are going quite nicely at the local Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. So you better not sit on your hands if you want one of these brand new 32-ounce Pepsi Justin Jefferson souvenir cups, which, again, you can find inside local Hy-Vee Fast and Fresh locations. There's a QR code on the side as well, where if you scan it, you can enter to win Victor's Ride, a Vikings-themed Polaris ATV that Jason from Egan won last year. Pepsi also giving away a solo pizza stove and Vikings autographed merchandise as well. So go get your Pepsi Justin Jefferson souvenir cups and keep sending me pictures of those cups at Phil Mackey on Twitter/X. Gentlemen, how are we feeling here on this State of the Offense Tuesday?
I'm curious to hear it because, like, it's weird. The state of the statistical production on Sunday was great. Time of possession was great. The state of the quarterback, not so much. But then I watched the Rams last night, and guess who didn't score an offensive touchdown?
Yeah, a bunch of field goals.
Los Angeles, five field goals, no touchdowns.
That was, the Rams. That was like they had kind of a full. No, they were missing, I think, an offensive lineman or two still, but. The Dolphins were also playing for their season last night, 2-6.
I think they got two of them back, though. I think the Rams were about as close to full strength offensive line-wise as they've been, and they just couldn't score a touchdown. This is such a weird league.
It is, man.
I will say that. It is a bizarro league.
It is. The Lions are good, and the Chiefs find ways to win, but even like the Ravens will just lose a game to Jameis Winston randomly.
Right.
So
exactly.
So we'll get into the overview of the Vikings offense. We do this deep dive every single Tuesday. And then I've got 4 categories of note to dive into here. So where does the Vikings offense currently rank in some key categories? Scoring offense, 10th. Yards per play, 13th. Offensive expected points added in the analytical department, 14th. Offensive DVOA, 17th. Third down conversion rate, 10th. Red zone touchdown rate, 19th.
Yeah.
That's been dropping lately.
Yes, it has.
And turnover rate has also taken a nosedive. They're now 28th in the league in turnover rate. Oh, yeah. So that's not great. Let's get into state of Sam Darnold here. I think that's going to be the meatiest part of the discussion.
Here. While you do that, I'm just going to duck below my desk here because I think it might be ugly.
Passer rating, 11th. QBR, 18th. Expected points added, 11th. Yards per pass attempt, 5th. Still slinging it down the field. PFF grade, 17th. And big time throw percentage, 8th. So now that you've kind of digested where the Vikings, and I have an exercise I would like to go through with you guys, but the Vikings offense is now outside of the top 10 in most meaningful categories.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold is dropping in a lot of meaningful categories. They're still 7-2, but what are your general thoughts on the offense here?
Oh, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. And it's because of, look, the quarterback has been doing what the quarterback has done. He's gotten off to good starts before. And it just feels like the confidence is waning now. We could torture Sunday's picks as much as we want to be like, well, this happened there, right? And this happened. Oh, it's not all Sam's fault. But the reality is he didn't even come close to passing the eye test. It wasn't close. And, you've got Justin Jefferson, who we have said before is never truly covered, but he's truly covered if you're just going to force balls in, if you're not going to use your reads necessarily. The reality is that, there but for the grace of God, Darnold throws 4 picks. So I am not concerned about the entire offense cratering, but unfortunately when the quarterback starts to crater, it takes everybody down with you. And for all that O'Connell might say about, we still believe in Sam, we're going to get it back on track, it has to do with the footwork. I'm not buying it. I think he's trying to do his best. I think he knows that he cannot play Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is like Sam Darnold's evil child. It gets worse there because you don't know when he's going to, at least with Darnold, you can sort of see it coming. Mullins will lead you down the primrose path of, oh my God, this reminds me of Brett Favre. And then he throws a terrible pick.
I will stop you short and say, you can see it coming with Nick Mullins.
Yeah. No, but I think in O'Connell's mind, like the play against the Bengals last year where he's getting sacked and he just tosses the ball. It's like, that's like, oh my God, what are you even thinking? But anyway, I am concerned, and I am largely concerned, mostly concerned, pie chart, 95% of the pie, because of how the quarterback is not just playing on Sunday, but is trending.
So overall, you're panicked with the entire offense or just with Darnold?
Well, I think he takes the offense down with him. He's the pilot. Like this would be like saying... This would be like saying
he locked the cockpit door. And
exactly. The pilot can't land the plane, but the plane's a great plane.
You're not sure if he's conscious in there or not. It's just
that's well put. The cockpit door is locked, and I am worried about the entire offense because of that.
He simply just needs to put the plane though on autopilot. Dude, stop flying the plane manually.
Land it though.
Fly it. But even from what I have gathered on my TikTok research, because I do get a bunch of airplane stuff, some of these planes just land themselves at this point. Like some of these planes are very simple of landing themselves. Sam, don't crash the plane. That is all we're asking you. We have a great first class of Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and even a nice Delta Comfort with a bunch of great defenders. Do not crash this plane. There's one job for you to do, man. Don't crash the plane.
Just sit there, enjoy your free cocktail in first class, enjoy your warm towels, your warm, damp towels. I mean, I will say, so I went back and Booney and I are going to do trenches. It should be out probably Wednesday, where, Booney just takes us through masterfully the film breakdown every single week. And so I combed through a bunch of the offensive film yesterday with my amateur eyes. And he's like, there obviously some of those interceptions were just atrocious, but he also still makes some, even in a game in which we're all sitting there like, what is he doing? He's shipwrecking this thing. But you don't get to 400 plus yards and you don't get to 5 yards plus per play and all those things and get into the red zone that many times without him also doing some really great things athletically and with his arm in between the colossal mistakes. So it's not like watching the Bears offense right now where they literally can't score a touchdown, period, or get even close to scoring a touchdown, and you're firing an offensive coordinator. The structure is in place. And Darnold, in between the epic mistakes, is making some great plays and throws. So I will give him that credit. But yeah, and we'll get into a turnover department here in a second. But the exercise I want to run by you guys is this morning, I just off the top of my head, with a little bit of research, but anecdotally, I ranked the quarterbacks in the NFL. And I want you to tell me if I'm right on where Sam Darnold ranks. And then I have another question off this. I'll fly through this real quick. So these are Mackey's updated quarterback rankings.
Everybody hold your water.
Number one, despite his statistics being not quite the same, I still think Patrick Mahomes is that guy. I know that he's not going to win the MVP and he's not putting up the numbers that some of the other guys are, but it's going to take more than just like a drop off in numbers for me to ignore his career to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So Patrick Mahomes, number one. Lamar Jackson is about to win another MVP award. With his arm, with his legs, he's been ridiculous. Lamar Jackson, number two. The old Joe Burrow is back, number three. 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You know, that roster has kind of eroded. They're trying to decide if they're going to pay good players or not, but Joe Burrow sits in there and just throws darts all over the field. Number 4, Josh Allen. He's cut way back on his... He had a couple turnovers this week, I think, but he's cut way back on his turnovers.
Having a really good year, yeah.
Nice year for him. Still an athlete.
Yep.
This is where the controversy begins. Number 5 is the less on his plate version of Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert has 1 interception this year. They're asking less of him than the previous coaches with the Chargers. But that team is, I think, 6-3 now. Jim Harbaugh is a quarterback whisperer. And they've just said, hey, look, we're not going to put the whole franchise on you. We're going to run the ball more than we ever have, and you're going to thrive. And he's out there making plays with his legs yesterday. He had a big 4th down touchdown run, Josh Allen style. So give me Herbert, number 5. Jalen Hurts, back up to 6, having a nice little 2-month run here. Kyler Murray is awesome this year, and that team's in first place. So I'll take him 7th. CJ Stroud, kind of a drop-off, still super talented, 8th for me. I know Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions, but up until that, he was awesome and accurate and not crashing the vehicle, right? 9th.
Still won, yeah.
Yep. Jaden Daniels is 10th, one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Brock Purdy, 11.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield, who leads the NFL in touchdown passes this year, 12.
Yes.
I would say the pre-injury version of Dak Prescott is still 13th, just ahead of Kirk Cousins at 14th.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford, he should probably be higher on this list, but man, he was last night taking a bunch of sacks. He looks old, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So 15. 16 Tua showed last night he can still play.
Yeah, jeez.
17 Jordan Love, he's been a turnover machine this year. 18, I still have Trevor Lawrence 18, probably closer to top 10 a year ago. This Pittsburgh version of Russell Wilson, 19. And then I have Sam Darnold at 20, just ahead of Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, Bo Nix, and Drake May. That gets you through 25. And then everybody else.
Yeah, that's around right.
Caleb Williams.
I was going to say, at that point, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah.
Would you fight me aggressively on Darnold being 20th is my first question. And I have a second question.
No, you know what? The only things I would fight you on are, in my opinion, you probably, despite the fact that I was a stand for him as well at one time, I would probably have Trevor Lawrence lower, but we're fighting about like very small swing there. I think you have Darnold about right with what Darnold, because you can't dismiss completely what he's done. I mean, he got off to a really good start, so you can't dismiss that completely, but that certainly didn't push him into top 10 territory. So no, I think you've got him. I mean, could I quibble a little bit and move him around just a little bit? Sure. But I think that's, Dex, in my opinion, that's about right.
Yeah. You had Russell Wilson ahead of him. Who else was like in the first few slots ahead of him?
So right above him, 19 Russell, this Pittsburgh version of Russell Wilson, just hunting down the field. 18 Trevor Lawrence, 17 Jordan Love, 16 Tua.
Yeah, there's a gap. There's a gap there. Even with Russell maybe having a resurgence, but those other guys, Jordan Love even being prone to turnovers right now, I would still take Jordan Love. I would take all those guys. I think 20th is about the ceiling. I think, right? Unless the only thing that propels him up is if, like, the next 9 weeks, he's just the first 4 games of Sam Darnold, which clearly that is less likely of happening. So I think 20th is probably a fair ceiling.
So I think my next question would be, so I guess you've got him as the 20th best quarterback in the league here, according to this list. Is that trade-off of, hey, you're gonna sacrifice and you're gonna move down the rankings for a minute with the 20th best quarterback, but your defense is gonna have all these extra pieces. I think we agree, worth the trade-off. But the long-term goal here with Darnold as the transition is for J.J. McCarthy to be much higher than 20th as quickly as possible, right? Right. So my next question to you guys is, how many of these quarterbacks, if you were to swap out Sam Darnold and add Justin Herbert instead, or Jared Goff, or Brock Purdy, or whoever you would say is levels above Sam Darnold, if you were to swap him for X amount of these other guys, do you think the Vikings would be among the 2 or 3 Super Bowl favorites right now? Would they be up there with
Yes, no question about
Lions,
it.
Chiefs? Like if
100%.
if you said, all right, we're going to put Kyler Murray in here, or we're going to put Justin Herbert.
If you put Herbert in this offense with the components right now and probably turned him, which O'Connell would, a little bit more loose than Harbaugh would, yes, I think there's no question about it. But again, I don't, just to circle back to what we talked about yesterday, I also don't blame the Vikings because they had a plan. It was Darnold starts, right?
Yep.
And if McCarthy matures, which he was, it certainly appeared on track, he'd be starting by now. So like the Vikings are sort of in a box here of, okay, we don't want to play the backup now. We would have played McCarthy now. So my answer to your question is yes. Do I absolve the Vikings of blame, though, on like, how did you get stuck here? Yes, I do, because they actually had a plan. It just was prevented from coming to fruition. And again, 7-2, I'm telling you, I know O'Connell will deny this. I think 7-2 surprises everybody.
Yeah.
So
it's such a better record than even, I mean, Vegas had 6.5, most of the sports books. Dex had a ticket for the over. I mean, we're not even halfway through November, and we've cashed over 6.5. So, yeah, by the way, let us know in the YouTube comment section, where would you rank him right now after the Jaguars game? Sam Darnold is ranked blank among the 32 quarterbacks. Is 20 fair? Let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, the next category or next talking point is turnovers. And this was a huge discussion last year because the Vikings, especially the first month of the year, it was just self-sabotage, interceptions, fumbles lost, turnovers on the doorstep of the goal line. And there's been times this season where they've been better at that, but here's the reality right now. Sam Darnold is tied for the NFL lead with the most interceptions, 10, along with Jordan Love and Geno Smith. Darnold has the 4th highest interception rate among all quarterbacks, meaning percentage of attempts that are interceptions.
Yep.
He's behind only Will Levis, Bryce Young, and Jordan Love in that category. The Vikings as a team have the 5th highest turnover rate. 15% of their drives end in turnovers, which is better than last year. I think it was like 18%.
Damning with faint praise.
But it's still bad. So Vikings, 15% of drives end in turnovers. The Chargers, by comparison, 3% of their drives end in turnovers.
Right.
And Darnold also leads all NFL quarterbacks in red zone interceptions with 4.
Well, he had 2 on Sunday, right?
I don't know if that means like if the ball was snapped in the red zone or
yeah.
Yeah.
Feels like he should have more than 4 then.
Well,
I mean, like if you count the ones where he snapped it at the 35 and threw it into the red zone and it got picked. You know?
So he's got 10 picks. Just for context, 5 of those have come in the past 2 games too. Like that.
Yeah.
Like this is what concerns me. How do you stop this trend? You're on a bad path here. We disagreed about this on Sunday, Phil, but I just think that because Darnold is such a tricked up O'Connell project, I really think that both of them, and Darnold needs to talk here and tell him what he's comfortable with. O'Connell very clearly sees what he wants, but I think the question is, and they talked extensively because Jacksonville, no shocker, played 2 safeties high on Sunday to basically take away, starting with Justin Jefferson, the receivers. I think you need to get to a place with what is Sam Darnold right now comfortable doing. And if that means shorter routes for Jefferson, that's what it means. But it's very clear, and I think this is the problem too. I think the Vikings put on tape what Sam Darnold could do. And teams are like, oh, okay, cool. We'll adjust. Unfortunately, I don't think Sam Darnold is capable of adjusting himself on the fly. So O'Connell's calling the same type of plays he previously did, and teams are now prepared for that. So unfortunately here, because hopefully with McCarthy, this will not be a discussion down the road. But unfortunately here, I think what we're talking about is O'Connell literally needs to make the adjustments himself to feed to Darnold, because I don't think Darnold processes quick enough to adjust through a sight adjustment.
But are you suggesting that they, like, for instance, they've kind of done some of this on a per game basis? The Vikings are only like 21st in pass attempts per game. And last year they were like 5th or 3rd or something.
Yeah.
So they've made a conscious effort per game
Correct.
to run the ball more than they have the last 2 years. So, all right, Sam, we're not going to put it all on your plate. We're going to reduce the load. I don't know. It's really dangerous if you start to get even more conservative. And now we're going to do more bubble screens and we're going to do even shorter passes, because now you're taking away what's been generating points. Like and I'll get into a couple other things here, but the fact that you chunk the ball down the field is the reason why you are still 10th in scoring offense. If you start to take that away, at least we're not throwing interceptions. Yeah, but are you getting first downs? Or are you just now it's a punt fest for 3 hours?
I hear you, and I don't disagree with that. But I guess what I'm asking is, can O'Connell make adjustments on philosophy, not like overall on everything, but for instance, red zone? Are there different ways to attack it there? Because you can still chunk the ball downfield to get into the red zone, but once you're there, it just absolutely kills you when you can't even come away with 3 points because this guy is throwing picks. So I guess I'm talking smaller picture of adjustments. I'm not saying like the entire game has to be changed completely, but there are definitely some concerning things here. And, Hawkinson's back. Are there different ways to attack things now? That's what I'm saying.
Well,
but unfortunately, I don't think that you can trust the quarterback to make the adjustments himself. So it's going to largely have to come from the guy who's helping the quarterback out.
I mean, I guess my last counter to this would be, all right, wherever you have Darnold ranked. So he's 11th in passer rating. He's 18th in QBR. I had him 20th in my Phil Mackey rankings. So let's say he is a league average quarterback at best right now, this version of him, to maybe slightly below league average, which is the highest he's been regarded in his entire career. This was a guy that was a laughingstock for years, a backup, a journeyman, and a guy that was known for seeing ghosts in New York, right? Like he's that. Yeah. So you've taken him from that to being like a league average-ish or somewhere around their quarterback. And if what you're asking is, hey, Kevin O'Connell, you've already taken him from here to here, can you take him a little higher? And I worry that the answer is not really.
Yeah, that's not what I guess that's not my point. My point is, can you adjust things in the red zone to give looks that teams haven't seen as much? Like I think what we're seeing, because believe me, no offense to the Jaguars, but I don't think we're talking about Lombardi, Belichick, and football geniuses here. But when you put everything on film, I think teams just adjust. So I'm not asking him to change the path and make Darnold a better QB. I'm saying, can you literally just make adjustments in how you attack the red zone so that you're giving looks that haven't been seen as much? And with Hawkinson back, I think the answer is yes. But yeah, you've got to chunk the ball downfield. And quite frankly, I'm at the point too where if you get picked off on a deep ball, which I still contend Darnold throws really damn well, I'm almost comfortable with that. But you can't afford, I don't think, against most opponents, to get into the red zone and then come away with no points because you got the ball picked off on what was ultimately a play where it feels like the quarterback on Sunday locked in and couldn't get off that.
Yeah. Well, one thing, and maybe I can dig this up real quick, one thing that teams might be adjusting to, and I'll even take it back a step. One of the criticisms I've heard of Kevin O'Connell over the past couple of years is some of these quarterbacks get worse the longer they're in his system, right? The longer Josh Dobbs is in Kevin O'Connell's, he looks great right away, but then the more he learns the system, the worse he gets, right? Sam Darnold comes out hot, and the more he starts to learn the system, the worse he gets, which is one way to look at it. Another way, I think the correct way to look at it would be defenses study film for 100 hours a week. And if you put something out for the first month of the season that's working offensively,
correct,
it is their job over there as highly paid head coaches, defensive coordinators, defensive edge rushers, safeties, cornerbacks, linebackers, to dissect the things that you are doing well and counterpunch it. I mean, it's like in baseball. boy, this guy came out of the gate hot. He's crushing fastballs. We should probably stop throwing him fastballs. So one thing that, and I'm going to try and find this quick, but
You're right.
one thing that the league is catching on to is Sam Darnold in this system is great against the blitz. He's been, and now there's been some interceptions, but like he's been one of the better quarterbacks against the blitz in the league. So what you saw from the Jaguars a few times on key third downs or must pass situations is they're dropping 8 guys into coverage.
Yep.
And they're making a shaky accuracy quarterback have to thread the needle between more defenders guarding the receiver and tight end routes. So, I mean, that's probably one of the adjustments that teams have made for Darnold is like, all right, cool, you can dissect the blitz. So let's not blitz you at a 40% rate like we would Anthony Richardson or some of these other quarterbacks. Let's sit back, and if you throw a ball slightly off target, well, there's an extra safety back there, an extra linebacker, or an extra body that can jump in and pick off that pass.
To your point, so in the game on Sunday, according to Next Gen Stats, the Jaguars played split safety coverage, so 2 safeties deep, 92.9% of their defensive snaps. That is the highest rate of any team in the league since the NFL's data service began tracking such things in 2018.
I'll add to that.
So
this is wild, dude. This is crazy.
But you're exactly right.
The Jaguars, so the Vikings had 42 dropbacks in that game. 42 passing dropbacks. How many times would you guess the Jaguars blitzed? According to Pro Football Focus.
Like 4.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot, I feel like.
Once.
There you go. Yeah. So
they blitzed
There
once.
you go, the counter to the counter.
And he was 1 for 1 for a 4-yard gain. And they literally said, hey, we don't think you're accurate enough. Or you're going to sit there and hold the ball too long and play patty cake.
Yep.
And we're gonna pressure you or sack you.
And this gets back to the fact that Darnold is relying on what O'Connell has told him, right? So he's going to, what I've been told is Darnold will read whatever is on the proverbial play called teleprompter. Okay? So to what we're talking about here, Jacksonville, too high, no real blitzes, but he's been told Justin Jefferson's going to be here.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the capability. I mean, look, he is not as big a disaster as he was with the Jets, but he is still not what teams thought. Like he did not become the second coming of Marino. So he literally is looking, but he's physically gifted. So he's literally looking at what he is told. The teleprompter said, throw to 18. But Jacksonville's like, okay, we know that. So now you're going to throw to 18, and we're going to have 2 guys there, which is what they did.
This is like to not blitz at all basically in 3 hours is okay. Now Kevin O'Connell and company.
Exactly.
If this is the new thing, what is your counter to that, right? Exactly. I definitely have 2 more categories for you guys. We do have to get to a stud stable here in a moment.
Nice.
But Judd, Padrigs, man, it's been a fun place. We've had a couple Purple Daily Unplugged events there this year. Our friends at Padrigs have been great.
Big fun. And guess what? Padrigs, the official sports beer of the Sports Dad. Why? Because Padrigs, they produce beer. And I know you're thinking, huh? Sports Dad, of course. Yeah, but we got a lot of places now that produce more than beer. The guys at Padrigs are focused on one thing, and that is being a local craft brewery that's recreating Irish and UK classics, as well as some great craft beers. If you've tried their red, the Sports Dad does not lie about beer. He's passionate about 2 things, sports and beer, and their red is absolutely outstanding. Available in more than 80 liquor stores in the metro, and it sounds like that list is going to expand. I'm also hearing rumblings that they're going to be available outside the metro soon as well, which would be great news. Find them on Facebook or Instagram or their website at padregs.com. Padregs, absolutely outstanding beer and only beer.
Also, Nicolay Law has been a great supporter of Purple Daily here throughout the 2024 season. A shout out to the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily. Nicolay Law knows that when you or a loved one gets into an accident, life can come to a stop, things can get complicated, and that's where Russell Nicolay and his team come in to make sure that you get the compensation you deserve after an accident. They are local. They are just your normal everyday folks that happen to have law degrees to help you or a loved one. So get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers get Nicolay, NicolayLaw.com, or giving them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. More State of the Offense coming up shortly here, but he is the most passionate Vikings fan we know. Randy Vikes 69 on Twitter /X. He is Randy in Cottage Grove. 7-2, Randy. 7-2. It wasn't pretty, but they're 7-2.
Sometimes sometimes an effort is what they call hard nosed, and that as KOC said after the game, they're going to punch them in. They put one or two tutties up. It looks a little more domination, but I got a confession to make. I think I need to be honest here and say that some of us over at the bar I was drinking at might have been the problem.
Whoa.
We do what they call touchdown shots. A lot of bars do that, but this particular establishment that we visited on Sunday, they had really nice touchdown shots. They do chilled yag, and every time the Vikes get a tutty, everybody gets a shot of yag right from the yagerator, fresh from the teat, as they say. And in this particular morning, it broke. They called a tech, but he couldn't get there in time, and so they were pouring. They were going to pour if we got a touchdown. They were going to pour warm yag. They didn't have time to chill it for everybody, but we didn't have one. We never got in, even on the defensive side, and I think that's their fault for having a broken yagerator.
So the broken yagerator, the lack of chilled yag from the teat is what jinxed the Vikings offense.
Sam malfunctioned. He found out he malfunctioned.
Yeah, you get a shot every time there's a touchdown, and the yagerator broke before the game started. Some of us like to kind of pop one or two to get things lubed up, and then we couldn't even do that, and then we never got off the ground from there. So it'll be fixed next weekend. I'll tell you that. They'll get it fixed, and when the yag will be flowing, and I guarantee we get back in the end zone.
You know what? You should have left your bar, come to Park Tavern. Our watch party, we had like 5 people. Like, where's
people were doing
Randy,
yag,
including a guy with a shirt that was basically an ode to you, Randy.
There was a Stud Stable shirt. Somebody offered Dex some yag shots at one point.
I thought it was you at one point, Randy.
Am I going to have to call a lawyer?
Maybe.
I have a good
Nicolay Law.
I had one for
I've been injured.
Myself and my former, when we split up, we had to do kind of the estate, split up the estate, and the guy I used for that was an amateur. I lost it all. I mean, there wasn't much to lose, to be honest, at the time. But I even my bowling balls.
Oh
no, dude!
Not the bowling balls.
Yeah,
so that doesn't fit her.
I feel like that's just vindictive, man.
I agree.
Those bowling balls don't fit her.
Sorry.
So they're going to pawn everything they can to try to get as even Steven as we could get.
Right.
And I had to start from scratch. I did get a nice new hammer ball though out of the deal, and that worked out okay.
Yeah, that's just, I feel bad for
people
you,
missed you, Randy. People love you.
Well, listen, the Vikings are 7-2, and it's time for the Stud Stable here. A Week 10 Stud Stable. Randy Vikes,
should be 8-1. Now the face mask, apparently now they know how to call that on us, not in the end zone against the Rams.
Yeah. Well, they still would have had to march down like 90 yards and get the 2-point conversion and win in overtime. So
anything's possible in the NFL.
That is true, KG. Anything is possible.
All right, this is a Stud Stable.
Go ahead.
Week 10. Well, week 10, week 9 games, and that's 7-2. If you told anyone before the year we're going to be sitting here at 7-2 in the middle of November, you take that, take it to the bank, as they say. And on a day like that, with a team that was grinding, the Jags were playing for their season. They had everything to play for, everything to play for. They're proud team. They love Doug Peterson. He's got some pedigree. And they laid it all out there, and that's an impressive win, and it starts with the defense, as it seems to start a lot these days. And the first guy I'm gonna just hang the stud yoke on his neck, because he's had it a few times this year and he can hold it high again, and that's Andrew Van Ginkels. Andrew,
Mr. Van Ginkels,
you're so disruptive. You again, with that sort of position as they move you around. Are you coming up? Are you dropping back? Are you going left and right down the line? If I'm Mac Jones, as they say, that's a scary guy to see flying around. And then you did it again. So Andrew Van Ginkels, you're a stud.
Yep.
The Jinkmeister. Let's go.
All
He's a
aboard.
guy who a lot of people said, his celebration was a little aggressive, excessive. I'm an old school give the rock to the ref guy, but I like that. I liked it was unique, it was flashy, and he rose to a moment and kind of had some dance moves, that kind of reminded me of some of the stuff back in the '80s where you did they're popping and locking, and that's Andrew Bynum. Andrew Bynum. You had a great dance move there, and I love the way that you made that work. And so I really just love your performance, especially on that last move. So Andrew Bynum, you're a stud.
Tell him.
I feel like people. It's like some people didn't get the. Oh, Andrew Bynum, is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And finally,
Well, Cam Bynum. But
a lot of people think. Excuse me. A lot of people think that.
Too late.
A lot of people think that that game had no offense whatsoever. The way I view it, that game had perfection from one guy on the offense, and that's JD Romo. JD, you've got a pedigree. First of all, through Tony Romo, and you got that name to live up to. It's a lot to live up to, and you lived up to it on Sunday. You went 4 for 4. You were just going straight down the middle, and we didn't get shots for that, but we do get victory shots at the end of the game. Those are Jello shots, and we got one. We all got one. They're purple and they're yellow, and I was able to get 3, and you did it right for us. You did us a solid. So as long as you got a kick here, you'll let Riker go ahead and sit in the ice bath as long as he needs, because JD Romo, you are a stud.
JD Romo. Yeah.
No, don't bother telling him.
And poof, he's gone. So Andrew Bynum,
JD Romo,
and Andrew Van Ginkels.
who has to carry on the great tradition of all of the clutch plays that Tony made during his career with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Old Tony Romo.
Andrew Bynum.
That's a throwback. Laker,
Yeah.
right? He was a Laker.
Yes, I was going to say
yeah.
that he is. He does have the name right. But, I mean, it's not totally made up.
I feel like a lot of people were confused. Like a suspicious amount of people didn't know what Cam Bynum was doing.
Correct.
Like, what is he doing?
It was great.
It was amazing. He move for move, nailed the ray gun. Now that was back in August, so maybe people forgot. Time moves quickly.
Well,
on
the
the
one that he did, I think, in London against the Jets with Metellus.
Yeah.
was phenomenal. Like they choreographed
Parent Trap.
those things. The Parent Trap one was incredible.
Yeah. He puts a lot of time in. He's also setting himself up if he makes a mistake in like a playoff game.
Right.
And we can then come back and say, well, maybe you should spend less time choreographing touchdown celebrations and more time breaking
Even
down
I
the
didn't
film.
see that coming from
Oh, yeah.
boy.
I've got that take loaded
Oh, my
up.
God.
Hottest Vikings
He's
takes
a-
after the divisional round loss to the Niners or whoever.
That guy's going to get paid by somebody this offseason.
Yeah. No, he will. Hey, a couple more state of the offense categories for you guys here, but what's happening on Underdog after an exciting week 10, Declan?
Yeah, a lot of great stuff on Underdog right now. You know, it's been the tokens that I really like. You know, randomly they'll give you, like today, 75% profit boost for any NBA pick'em. Any NBA, if you want to do some basketball today, get a 75% profit boost. There's random gimme picks that will also pop in there for users. The longer you're on Underdog, the longer you get rewarded. And new users, if you want to get in on the fun, you can use promo code SCORE for a 50% deposit match. Yeah, pick them all at Underdog. Going to go up to 10 times your money, 20 times your money. Go to Underdog, promo code SCORE for a 50% deposit match.
Boom. Okay, scheme. Let's talk about scheme here. Offensive scheme. Let's get into the weeds.
Football.
Yeah, love scheme.
We've been in the weeds.
We're going to go deeper in the weeds.
Wow.
Because the Viking, if you're wondering, how can they make things easier for Sam Darnold? Well, one way would be play action. Well, they're already doing that. The Vikings have run the 5th most play action passes in the NFL. The Lions run the most. So the Lions are very much leaning into that great offensive line, that running game, and the threat of it, and then Jared Goff playing off that. Here's the thing. Sam Darnold has a 127 passer rating on play action, which is second among all quarterbacks. That passer rating drops to 86.9 without play action, which is 20th. So based on passer rating, he's the second best quarterback in the league off play action.
Yep.
He regresses to 20th without the benefit of the fake handoff. I'll keep going here.
Yeah.
Vikings in the passing game average the 4th most air yards per attempt, so ball in the air down the field, fourth most average air yards per attempt of any offense in the league, behind only the Colts, who with Anthony Richardson are just like bombing the ball down the field, the 49ers, and the Jaguars. So it's very much a play action heavy passing game relative to the rest of the league. And they are looking to chunk the ball down the field. So I would ask the Judds of the world and Kevin O'Connell, do you want Darnold is really good off play action, and he's really good throwing the ball on the field, and they are leaning into those things already.
Yep.
Do you just lean even further into them?
Well, I think what we can do here, since we are just so deep in the pigskin weeds, I think we can split the field into 3 parts. Because the problem with this sport is I think we think of like everything happens on the field, and so it's sort of all the same. But, clearly it's not. D&D is big. D&D is huge, as O'Connell says. The red zones are different than when you're operating between the 20s. And so I am with you. I don't think that you can abandon, nor should you, trying to chunk the ball down the field. Darnold, in some cases, is very good at that. His deep ball is great. Intermediate passes can get dicey, especially based on, as you talked about, blitz percentages. If you're not being blitzed and you're trying to get 15 to 20 yards, I think it gets dicier because he's going to make throws that become unnecessarily dangerous. But if I was O'Connell and I was focusing on one thing, like I'm sitting down for the Tennessee Titans and I'm focusing on one thing, it again is my approach in the red zone. Because I think the Vikings have proven, and a lot of teams, right? Yeah. Like if I'm not mistaken, the Childress teams between the 20s, unbelievable. Moving down the field, getting to the red zone, hey, all day long. You get there, you stall out. So I would say in trying to prepare here that what I would be most looking at is how many tells am I giving inside the opposing 20? And how can I break that code, break those tendency breakers to get myself to a position where I am not giving looks that are already on film. But yes, if you're saying, Phil, am I trying to insinuate that you should stop chunking the ball completely? No. And you know what? You know what's great? Ball at your own 30. You're trying to get yards, chunk the ball. Play action works there because you got a threat, Aaron Jones. So I don't think you need to throw out everything. I do think, though, that Jacksonville did you a favor because they're so bad by basically trying to lay a blueprint that if somebody else copies now, I think it's exploitable. But to O'Connell's credit, this is all going to come down to him. Like Darnold cannot, if we're going to go back to our plane analogy, Darnold's in the cockpit, the door is locked, but as long as O'Connell is there as well, I think he can save the plane.
What if it's Mullins in there? Oh, it's.
He's
KOC's on the headset.
He's going to go deep dive on the yoke, and then you're screwed. So, but anyway, I think you need to have some tendency breakers now, but that doesn't mean that you need to go away from everything that has worked either.
You know, I think sometimes like red zone, third down and red zone conversion, sometimes it can be simplified by who's your quarterback. There might just there's certain things you can do schematically, but like this year, the two best red zone offenses are the Ravens and the Bengals. Well, they have Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And now there's some outlier teams in here, like the Lions are not an outlier. Jared Goff, usually very responsible. They also have a great offensive line and one of the best running games. But you've also got like the Arizona Cardinals are top 5 in red zone conversion rate because they've got a mobile, really good joystick quarterback. Buffalo Bills are up in this mix. The Eagles with Jalen Hurts. So if you've got mobile playmaking quarterback, keep plays alive, etc., it's very helpful. And then I'll give you this other one. It's kind of schematic. Josh Oliver played a career high 57 snaps in that game against the Jaguars. Yeah. Career high. So he was out there for 57 snaps. Hawkinson played 39 as they kind of ease him back in. And even Johnny Munt was out there for 18 snaps. I think this was the most tight end heavy usage game of the Kevin O'Connell era. Mm-hmm. And I was hoping to go and look at how often are they using like 2 tight end personnel versus other teams. But suspiciously, all 3 of the websites that used to offer that information publicly have now taken it down. So I wonder if the NFL is trying to keep some of that information more private among fans. We'll see if we can find another outlet. But the Vikings are very much leaning into 2 tight ends on the field on a regular basis, presumably so they can run the ball more effectively and just even pass protection, like leaving a tight end in or chipping with Cam Robinson now. It's probably helpful to have a tight end chipping off the edge.
Sure.
But very, very, very heavy tight end usage for the Vikings.
And off of that point, just to be very clear, abundantly clear, O'Connell is doing a fantastic job of making do with what he has. Like I think this is his best year. I think he gets credit he helped Kirk a lot. So I'm not saying he inherited Kirk and he just turned him loose. I think he helped Kirk a lot. But, the last 2 years, and especially last year, I think Kevin deserved the criticism. And I know that Madison didn't work, but I don't think that you can just abandon the run, which they basically did. Well, this time around, he's not. And so there are definitely some things that have to be adjusted, and there are definitely some things to pick apart. And on 3rd and 1 on Sunday, late in that game, I would have run. But those are very small things. The reality is, for having Sam Darnold as your quarterback and getting what he has from him, and now basically it's on his plate again to adjust as Sam begins to struggle more because of things being on film and the amount that he is running, and to your point, playing heavier personnel. Kevin O'Connell is doing a really good job.
Yeah. Teams have essentially said, and this is now the counter chess, they have said, we don't think Sam is disciplined enough or accurate enough to sit back there and dissect 7 or 8 defenders in coverage.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to rush 5 or 6 and give him the easy hot route, boom, Jefferson wide open over the middle. We're going to make him have to essentially play tic-tac-toe with 7 or 8 defenders out there.
Yes, and if you go back to before the Colts game, so he had thrown 5 picks, which was not terrible, but he had thrown 5 picks. 2 or 3 of those were directly because he locked in. Like he's like a missile launcher. He locks in on the target, and you can't change that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think 2 to 3 of those 5 picks were he locked in and threw stupid passes, because once he's told, he does that. He reads to go back to my point, reads the teleprompter. I think teams are like, oh, okay, cool. Like that's on film then, right? So if you're the Jaguars, you're like, hold on a second. So if we create situations where he is going to lock in and essentially not see a defender, which he's not, it's going to work out well. That's how you pick off 3 balls. So yeah, this is now going to be an adjustment of, well, here's the other thought too. And I don't know if I would break this out against the Titans. I probably wouldn't, but I would break it out in an important game. If teams are going to take what the Jaguars did, some will, some probably won't. But if you get that coverage, there's no reason Darnold can't take off. Everyone's got their back turned. They're all going downfield.
Not always though, because if they're playing in a zone, you're not going to be. You might get 3 or 4 yards.
True, at times. True,
but usually when you drop 7 or 8, it's not man coverage. It's a zone that you have to.
But I'm just saying they're
through.
Also dropping. So like they're deep. They're deeper now. You've got 4 guys that are basically trying to rush. Sam don't get a spy, nor should he. So I'm just saying there's going to be opportunities here, I think, to get creative, to get yards, because I would rather Darnold runs and gets hit than I would that he forces a ball. Worst case, he gets hurt.
I actually think they had the right attack, because they put together when a team is dropping 7 or 8 into coverage, they are and 2 safeties high. They are daring you to put together a 12 or a 14 play drive of 6, 5, 3, 8. Like they're looking to avoid the big shots down the field.
Right.
And they are banking that you aren't trustworthy enough to put together a 12 or 14 play drive.
Right.
And they were right, but not till the end of the drive in most cases.
Right.
Like the dagger interceptions came at least 2 different times at the end of these long drives. Mm-hmm. Or a devastating sack or something, which he's also prone to. Mm-hmm. So if they are daring you to put together 12 play drives, to me, I'm leaning on Hawkinson. I'm leaning on Josh Oliver. Yeah, and I'm finding other ways to get Justin Jefferson the football.
I'm just saying, if you see that coverage in a playoff game, there would be times. I am not trying to say that the dude should start to rush 10 times per game. I'm just saying it opens up things. But yes, I think the way that they put together their drives was great. It was fantastic.
Let me give you one more. Let me give you one more quick one here. One more quick one, and because we got to bounce. Mm-hmm. We're going to do Judd's pecking order episode too. But offensive line. So Cam Robinson allowed 6 pressures against the Jaguars. It was one of his worst games of the year in pass protection. Ed Ingram allowed 3. But overall in the season, I want an update on the interior offensive line. So on Pro Football Focus, 82 qualified guards. Ed Ingram, 66th out of 82. He's 72nd out of 82 in pass protection, 58th out of 82 in run blocking. Old Ed Ingram. Mm-hmm. Blake Brandel, on the other hand, he's 44th out of 82 overall qualified guards, 29th out of 82 in pass protection, 48th out of 82 in run blocking. So Blake Brandel, like a solid, slightly above average guard, according to Pro Football Focus. Ed Ingram continues to be bottom 3rd, bottom 4th of the league. Among 39 qualified centers, Garrett Bradbury is 10th out of 39 overall, 33rd out of 39 in pass protection, but 6th out of 39 in run blocking. He does a good job getting out there and using his athletic ability as a center. So, and we can do more on the offensive line with Thor this week or next week, and obviously Boone's going to get into some of that stuff on the Trenches episode. But yeah, there is your State of the Offense Tuesday here on Purple Daily.
Very nice.
If that wasn't in the weeds enough for you, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
KO right now, deep in the weeds. Deep in the football. Of trying to fix his quarterback.
All right. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. Be on the lookout for Judd's weekly pigskin pecking order on your feeds today, too.